I'm always impressed by the advancement in calculators, you know, from Gary's presentation and Jake's presentation and some of the DM Swiss Micro stuff that's going on, but just the collaboration around the world, you know. So we're going to take you backwards, way back in the early calculators. So there's a board I'm going to talk about that Tony Nixon or Teenix developed, and we'll kind of go through, you know, what happens when you get a calculator, you're excited about it, maybe you bought it off eBay or somebody gave it to you, and all of a sudden you find out what's the problem you're trying to solve. You know, many of these calculators have encountered some sort of corrosion issues, or you've got an issue that's got a electrical overstress, some sort of you know, damage that's either one or more of the chips have gone through, or you've just got old age, right?
That's me.
We can relate to that part, right? So where do you go with that? So you either buy another HP calculator from some website of some kind. You find a donor board. We know Panamatic has a daughter board that you can install, but that doesn't help if you got a lot of damage onto your PC board itself. Hope your PC board magically fixes itself, which we know that never happens, right?
Every day it happens in my house.
See, I know. Or you can get a Teenix Woodstock PCB. And he has designed this, and I was going to do a little presentation about how I came up with this, because I was thinking about doing the same thing and then obviously did some research and found out, oh, it's already been done for me. So this is the front side, this is the back side, and basically what he's done, he supports models, the HP-21, 22, 25C, 27, 29C, all in one board. So it's all covered in this one board. Continuous memory storage, requires no battery power because it goes into it's a memory that just retains memory. It's an FRAM basically. Storage for the 25C version, you've got 207 program files you can store, or up to 360 files, either program or data. Continuous memory has a reset if you wanted to do that for whatever reason. Bluetooth connectivity, which is really cool, really awesome, and it works great. A LiPo battery powered, because this board is actually needs 4 volts. So so you need to modify a battery pack, and we'll show you what we did to do that. A turbo mode, fast code execution unless it's on a pause, and it'll reduce the time frame for that. An internal USB battery charger with a charge indicator can run the calculator as well while it's plugged in.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool. Text editor for creating names for stored programs. Decimal, binary, hex, octal converter. Option to display program text instead of just numbers or original key numbers. Real-time clock, so you stuck an RTC on the board. Separate count up, count down timers with alarm. Selectable format for day, month, year. Clock display in the numeric or text format. I'll show you a little bit about that. Menu activated write switch for in case of those calculators that do not have a write program run switch. Selectable key debounce, so if you've got some keyboard issues, because you've got to end up using your original keyboard that you've cannibalized. A beeper, so he's included a beeper on here. Display setting, a bright or dim setting, and I run it in dim and it seems plenty readable. A sleep timer, 29C printer interface back to the computer when you're connected via Bluetooth. Power on model display or current time, so when you turn it on it comes up and shows you what model, or it tells you the real time, what time it is. Temperature display, just displays it, has the feature on it, displays on the IC temperature. Software version, selectable low battery reference, so you can kind of select that. PC interface, compatible with the Teenix Woodstock emulator, and programmable, reprogrammable. And I reflashed this a couple times because I found a couple little errors that Tony had, and he fixed it and sent me a new binary code, and I reflashed it. So we'll go through a little bit about that. So there's, on the HP-25C, there are 3 extra functions that he's included, which is a beep. Since the 25C does not have a go sub, there's a go sub function that he's implemented, and there's a return function from that. And he sticks it way at the end of the calculator to execute that go sub function. On the HP-29C, there's a random number placed in the X register, and you'll get something between a 0 and a 1. Constants, up to 10 constants that you can store. A beep, a data swap, which now swaps 30 registers with a second 30 registers, and you can dynamically swap those while your program's executing. File access, we talked about a little bit before, and then a notes display where you can display alpha characters where your program can stop and say, oh, you know, you're at test 0, or you're at, you know, this spot in the program. And then, if that wasn't enough, he put in Tetris, Maze, and Blackjack. So 3 games, just in case you need your nice red LEDs to show you something, right? So wouldn't it be nice just to drop in a new PC board and give back your old Woodstock calculator plus some nifty new features?
How much?
Well, they're about $80 some. So,
Really?
well, before the tariffs, and by the way, when I ordered this, it was right at the edge of when it's going in. I'm tracking the PC board as it's coming in through customs in Los Angeles. It's stuck in customs. Thankfully, it got out, and I was able to build this before it got caught. So, what do you need? You need some calculator that you've already can cannibalize of some kind. So you need the back, you need the keyboard, you need a functioning LED display, and unfortunately, you need all of these interboard connection pins, which means you have to have a little bit of soldering skills to uninstall the 38 pins for the display and for the between the board and the keyboard. So I'll show you a little bit about that. So here's the conversion. Here's actually the new board, and actually he sends you this little alignment tool, which is really kind of nice to have. So when you're removing these little pins, and they're really actually pretty easy to get out. And then once they're out, then you clean them up and you start soldering them into the new board. And this is just a different perspective. This is the back side of his PC board, and I've got 18 of them already in. Remember, if you've never soldered, or you're going to start soldering, or you've been soldering a long time, flux is your friend. This is about a $3 or $4 little tube of flux from Amazon. Use lots of flux. It's great, and it'll help you get pins out and then resoldering back into the PC board. One thing to note, just if you're doing this, there is a difference between the display pins, or the 20 pins are shorter than the interboard connect pins. So just keep that in mind. If you decide to take them all apart and throw them in one little bin and you start resoldering, you don't want to have them all jagged, so you will end up with the wrong size. So there it is. And that's really all you have to do, is you have to do the 38 pins, unsolder them, resolder them into the new PC board, and you're just basically ready to go. So there it is with the new PC board with the pins installed. You just plug the LED display onto it. You just plug that back into the top side of your calculator, and away you go. You're ready and going, and you turn it on, and I've got mine set up so it shows the real-time clock. You know, when it comes on, I just hit enter, and it's a nice, bright, shiny 00.00. But a word of caution, don't ever plug a standard HP calculator in there, because you'll put AC voltage in there, and it's not designed to take AC voltage. She's actually put you know, that he's got two nice pins that align with a cord that you can get, and it plugs into a nice USB-A. So it gives 5 volts, and you just plug this in, and it's a standard connector that goes into there. But it's a modified cable, obviously. You know, it's built to do USB, and it charges, and it'll charge a lithium-ion battery. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So how do you do the battery conversion? So you've got you've either got your existing case, or there's a bunch of STL files out there. If you guys do 3D printing, or can find somebody to get 3D printing for a case, you can build the case. Teenix sends you 2 PC boards. One is just kind of a filler PC board against the existing springs that came out of the other case. And then this is just a interface board, and it has the contacts for the board that he's supplied, and then it has a plug that'll plug into this lithium polymer battery. So anywhere from 800 to 1,000 milliamp hour capacity, and it's fitted inside the original battery holder and places the 2 NiCads. And then all of a sudden you've got a really nice solution. You're not going to have leaking batteries on you, and this thing lasts a long time. And it's got a power off, so the LED powers off, and you can set that LED gap from, I think, 1 second up to 7 seconds, where it stays on and then it just times out and it turns off. And it's really slick, and it's nice. You can plug it in and still use it, or you can just use it on the battery. So menu mode, you can use as a menu system to save and recall programs and operations, and it actually says, oh, here's program, and then it has some bars over here at the side. And it says, oh, that means that here's a menu. When you press the enter key for, I think it's like about 3 seconds or 2 seconds, it'll pull up this program. So you just hold it down. And then you get the 3 bars if there's additional things, additional submenus. And you do click enter if you want to select the submenu. You do clear X if you want to go back. And then you just do plus minus to move through the menu selections. It's really intuitive. And these are the first level connections. So when you get to the program and you go, and you can just hit the plus and go clock, Bluetooth connections, options, decimal hex binary, least fraction, temperature, games, version, battery voltage, so on and so on. And so it's just very, very intuitive, very easy, and they all have come up as basically this type of mnemonic inside your display. So you've got the character display. This is one of your options submenu. So you get a text format, and it looks, I think you can see that. It says, so there's one of the submenus for text, and you can set it for text or numeric. You can got turbo mode. There's the calculator ID or demounts or a slide default, whether you've got a calculator. Clock display, so you can say 11 o'clock, or you can have it standard numerical format, or it'll say a quarter to 11. So pretty cool. Like I said, you can set it up so power on display, it shows the time, you know, just whether you like. Display brightness, sleep, like I said. Oh, I'm sorry, this is, 1 or 7 minutes. One or 7 minutes before the display turns off. There's a sleep timer. It's really annoying. That'll beep every minute at you while it's in the sleep mode, so you find out that you turn that off pretty quick. There's a Bluetooth LED on-off, so it just enables the rightmost. There's actually, he's got another LED on his board, so it kind of shines up through the LED display, so you see that, and you can tell you're connected to Bluetooth. And then continuous memory and a system reset if you wanted, for whatever reason you want to do that. So he's got some block numbers as how he stores a program. And so if you want to do program storage and there's no steps in your program storage area, it'll tell you there's no steps to say, okay. If there are steps, then you need a block and file number, and for, depending on if it's a 25C or 29C, you've either got 0 to 8 blocks for the 29C, and then up to 40 file names, file storage areas. So you've got lots and lots of storage space for files. And then you can look at, and you can do alpha, or you can do a default. So if you just say default, it'll just fill in its own, the next level of file, and it'll do sequentially, like 0 block, 0.1 file, 0.2 file, 0.3 file, and so forth. Or you can actually enter, there's a keypad layout, and I'll show that here in a little bit, about where you could actually enter alpha characters in there, and you can make it some descriptive thing that says test or program or something like that, you know. Up to 20 characters. So in the program submenus, there's program read, data store, program title, program free, so it tells you what spaces are free inside that particular block area. And then program erase to erase a file, or then block erase if you want to erase the whole blocks. Decimal, hex, binary, octal, really pretty sharp. It's just laid out, so these are the layout on the screen, and it's pretty easy. Once you start playing with this, it's pretty intuitive, and you start remembering, oh yeah, this is decimal, this is hex, this is binary, this is octal. And then you've got A, B, C, D, E, F when it's in hex mode, and you can just enter, and I think I've got a slide on this, yeah. So if you're doing something like hex decimal mode, you know, you just put it in decimal mode, and then you hit the hex key if you want to convert to hex. Same thing with binary, and the binary plus minus scrolls back and forth, and it'll say, hey, if you've got more binary digits on the end, it'll indicate that. And octal, it'll give you an octal one. And then you can clear key, put in another number, and convert it, keep converting. So you can convert whatever base number you want of those 4 different bases. So least fraction, temperature, and model select, and then switch left-right menu. It'll do least fraction options, so there's a way you can enter the number, enter denominator into X, enter numerator into without pressing enter, and then enter the menu mode by holding the enter key down, and then scroll the menus till you see least fraction and press enter, and it'll figure out the least fraction for you. Temperature, we talked about that earlier. Calculator select, same thing. Those are just some other menu options that you do. We talked a little bit about these 3 extra instructions for the 25C version, and then the 29 has these other areas. These are pretty straightforward, and they're not too difficult, and he's got an instruction manual that you can download, and it's pretty clear the way it's set up. Bluetooth. I was really surprised at how easy it was to connect the calculator to my computer on Bluetooth. So completely wireless, and the nice thing is, it gives once you connect up to it, as I said, it gives a little indicator down here that you've got a good connection. Tony kind of walks you through it, and there are other ways to connect to it, but you want to do this unless you're reprogramming it. So this is the way to connect to it, and it shows you the model, and this is the way you can store text, you can store programs, you can write programs and store it in here, and store them in program mode. And then there's about programming. So reflashing the programmer. So you can either get a rather expensive microchip programmer, but the PIC 3s, previous versions of these are about $20 on eBay, and even less expensive are FTDI boards that you can buy from China for about $1.50, and you'll pay more for shipping today than you'll pay for the board itself. So these are all direct connections. There's a PIC 3. I happen to have one of the PIC 5s, and I've reflashed it. It was really simple, real easy, and I reflashed it 3 or 4 times. So not a problem. You can do it via Bluetooth. Both Tony and myself would probably recommend not, because if you lose the Bluetooth connection, you're going to have to, then you will have to buy a PicKit 3 or a PicKit 5 to reflash it, because it'll lose its programming status. So pretty easy to do that, or or I would say just get a FTDI board. They're really inexpensive, and he already has a connector. He already has a 6-pin connector on the board to accept the FTDI board, and that's just a USB back to your computer. And he already has the software in a program called CalComp. It's a big zip file that has the exe program for your Windows computer. By the way, he only does Windows. He doesn't do Linux or Mac, so you'd have to have a Windows computer. So I talked about the keyboard mapping. So here's the keyboard mapping, and it's in his file that he sends out, and it just shows that you've got nearly almost all the alphabet. You don't have X and Z and a couple other things, but you've got a pretty full alphabet. If you notice that he just uses 2 N's next to each other for an M, so it's pretty clear to make it very easy to do, and so you can enter characters for your program names instead of having some obscure number that you've got to remember. And if you want to do something and have a record of it on your computer, he's got a printer program. So he's got this character set, and he's got it set up so if you've got it connected via Bluetooth to your computer, you can run this program and it'll print out whatever you're doing, just like it would like a 19C printer. So it's got trace, or it's got the several options that same thing that a 19C would have.
No font changes.
So games, yes, there are 3 games. Tetris using a 7-segment display, and it's kind of funky, and it moves across the screen, and you try to move it up, down, left, right, and there's some keys, and there's 4 keys that move the elements up and down, and the goal is to fill an 8, and it moves off, and you keep trying to fill it up. Blackjack is the same kind of blackjack, or 21, and then he surprised me because the last revision he snuck in maze. In his documentation, there's only 2 games, and he's got actually threw the maze in there, and I haven't played that yet or looked at it, but there's some maze type of game where it gives you clues on how to wander through it. So summary and conclusions. So a Woodstock replacement board to revive an HP-21 or a 22, a 25C, 27, or 29C. Conversion process of installing a new board into your old calculator board. That was one of the goals, to show you what you'd be required to do that. It's not too bad. You need a little bit of soldering skills, but you really don't need very many tools other than a soldering iron, maybe something that'll hold the board, and one of the little mechanical solder suckers to get the solder out, and some nice solder and flux. That's really all you need. A new LiPo battery to fit in the old case for the Woodstock calculator, and it's not difficult. And I actually cut apart a case to fit one in and glued it back together once I got it in there. But I think I'd just 3D print a case the next time. It's probably easier and quicker, and it'll work just the same. Many new Woodstock features and enhancements, so that's kind of cool. There's a lot of new stuff you can do on it, and if you like the old Woodstock products and you've got one laying around and it doesn't work, and this is not a huge leap to try to get it to the point where it works really well. And I've been using this for a week and a half or so, and it's very reliable and works really well. Reprogrammability, so you can reprogram it. I've suggested right now, I don't think you can use the date and time integral to any program, but I've asked him if he can try to include that, and there's a couple other features. So he said, well, I'm kind of running out of space. Yeah, but he's going to look at it and see what he can do. The Bluetooth is awesome, so it works really nice, and once it's connected, it just stays connected. It doesn't drop out on you. And then finally, the satisfaction of seeing that little LED display come alive again. You know, it's, I don't know if for the LED fans in there, and that's me, it's great. You know. So what's next? What's next is coming soon. An HP-19C board is in the works. So he's working on that. I know he's trying to get it done and completed here in the last week or so. He's still challenging to get all the software written for it and get it to work right the way it's supposed to. But it's coming in. It should be here shortly. So he's really careful about it. So acknowledgements and credit. Obviously, Tony's great, and he was very great to get back with me on questions I had and get through and get this thing built up and ready for this presentation today. Wikipedia, obviously a good place. Bernard or Panamatic, you know, I've looked at his notes over the years, and Jacques Laporte, extensive HP power supply. Eric Smith's development documentation is always invaluable. The Museum of HP Calculators, Jeff Quickfall, certainly I've already benefited from his knowledge. Eric Recklin, and then Tony Nixon's website to download information. It's included in my presentation. And then Vladek, because we had a great visit with Vladek while we were in London a few months ago. So here we are at the Polish, so you have to help me with it. Polish Cultural Center, right? Yes.
Cultural Center.
Yes.
We had our English HPCC meetings there during COVID while the university was closed.
Yeah. And I really thank you for making time for us when Deb and I were there. We had a wonderful time, and the Polish food was excellent in the restaurant. So if you get there, I would highly recommend going there.
I invite anyone when you're coming to London, let me know.
Thank you. Thank you for spending the time. So remember, if you're going to make this, make sure you note this. This is a LiPo battery in there. You don't want to put that into your regular HP calculator. And yeah, you don't want to do that. Just another thing, he's also got a little, just an appendix on here. He's got a little converter that where you can, if you really feel adventurous, you can take apart the old HP charger, and you put basically an AC to DC converter in there that outputs 5 volts, and then output that to your calculator. So just another way to do it. Obviously, you would then placard your charger here to say this is not for your regular HP Woodstock calculator. Yeah, danger, don't use that. So anyhow, thank you very much. That's my presentation today. Yes.
Go ahead, Dave. I was wondering if he's got any plans to emulate the 67.
I don't know that. Oh yeah, I don't see that.
Woodstock, hardware-wise, is different.
So just a side note, when I was kind of noodling around what I was going to present this year, I was thinking about making a whole Woodstock PC board, and I was really interested to try to develop at least the power supply section. So actually I designed a little PC board based on the HP-25 power supply, sent it off to China. You know, they made the bare PC boards, they brought it back, and it works. So it's a lot of fun. Just, you know, I've got the 3 voltages that come out on this, is the minus 12.5 and the 6.3 and 4.4 voltages. And so nice to know I can take basic components. Transformer, I haven't quite figured out how to wind my own transformer yet on that. You know, it's a little complex, but you know, everything else is basically off-the-shelf type of components. So it was a fun endeavor, and something I'll be maybe talking about in the future. So thanks, everyone. Yes?
First of all, I'm probably not the only one, but I want to see Tetris running.
Which one? Oh, Tetris. Oh, okay.
At least solitaire.
And the second question, I'll stand up just so you can hear me. Bluetooth is not enabled on the unit by default, right?
Correct. You turn it on.
But once it's turned on, a malicious actor in an HP conference could wipe your machine.
You would It could, but you'd have to have the interface. Yes, you'd have to have the interface. Right, right. Yeah. By the way, I don't think I went into this, but you can, during programming or actually runtime, one program can call another program out of memory. So you can concatenate, you can chain and concatenate programs, and you can keep calling programs, from one to the other to the other to the other, and go back to and it'll go back to it, and you can say, not only just start from 0 or instruction 1, you can have a label stuck in there and say, oh, go to this program, start at label 0, or start at label 5, or start at label 9. So it's kind of neat, it's things that the HP-29 could never do before, right? So, and it gives you lots of memory and lots more memory.
And the go sub instruction that was added for the 25.
Yes.
Call it go sub 49. Is that the name of the instruction?
It's yeah, and I'd have to go back and look at the exact, because I haven't tried it yet, but it's, yeah.
But you can jump to any step.
Yeah, yes, yeah, it sticks it way up at the 49th instruction of the 25, and then it'll jump to another part of the program, and then it'll return back to where it was executing. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Jim.